Okay, get this. A company decides it needs to let go of some employees. Notices get sent out, and it looks like all the boxes are being ticked, or, that's what it seems like. But what happens when that whole process is just riddled with fundamental mistakes? We're going to break down a case where a couple of seemingly small errors made the entire thing invalid, right from the very beginning.
So that's the big question, right? Can a process be so broken that it's just null and void from the start? It sounds dramatic, but it's actually a super powerful legal idea that can completely unravel a corporate action, no matter how official it seems. And the answer? Oh, it's a definite yes.
To really get what went wrong here, we first have to get our heads around one key legal principle. Yeah, it's a fancy Latin term, but trust me, the idea behind it is pretty straightforward, and it is the absolute key to this whole story.
And that concept is called void ab initio. Now, this isn't about just fixing a little mistake or appealing a bad decision. No, this means the action was a complete and total nullity from the instant it happened. Legally, it's like it never even took place.
The best way to think about it is like this. You can build the most beautiful, perfect house in the world. But if that foundation is cracked, the whole structure is worthless. It doesn't matter how great the rest of it is, the entire thing is fundamentally unsound. That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
All right, so let's put on our investigator hats for a minute and dig into the three critical mistakes, the three huge cracks in the foundation of this retrenchment process. Any one of these on its own would be a big problem, but all three together, well, that was just devastating for the company's case. So, our first piece of evidence, our first crack in that foundation, is a mandatory step that was just completely skipped. A step that's there for a really good reason, to make sure both sides actually talk before things get ugly.
So, the law here is crystal clear. It says the Minister of Labor must, not should, not maybe, must try to get the parties together to talk it out before certifying a dispute. But what happened in reality? For this whole batch of notices, that meeting, it just never happened. They jumped right over it.
And here's why that's such a big deal. Because that meeting is mandatory. Skipping it meant the minister acted outside their legal authority. The fancy term is ultra vires. And any action that came after that was built on that initial failure, which, you guessed it, makes the whole thing void from the start.
Okay, on to our next exhibit. Let's take a look at the actual termination letters themselves. Seems simple enough, right? But when you look closer, a really important question pops up. Who in the world actually signed these things? You see, in the corporate world, authority is everything. A termination letter is a serious legal document, and if the person signing it doesn't have the proven legal authority to act on behalf of the company, well, then that document doesn't legally represent the company's decision at all. So, here's the bottom line. An unauthorized signature means the company, as a legal entity, never officially acted. It's kind of like getting an eviction notice from a random person on the street. It just has no legal weight. The notices were never lawfully issued, making them completely void. Now for our final piece of evidence. And this one seems like such a classic clerical error, a simple slip-up. But as we're about to see, this little logistical mistake has some massive legal consequences. It's all about where the letter was sent from. Official business has to come from the correct, legally designated address. That's just how it works. But here, the letters were sent out from a Park Street address, even though the company's HR department, the one handling this, was located at St. Clair Place. This isn't just a mail forwarding issue. In the eyes of the law, the point of origin is a really big deal.
And just like the other mistakes, this is not something you can just brush off. Improper service, sending it from the wrong place, makes the notice itself invalid. And if the notice is invalid, well, you know the drill. Everything that's built on top of it becomes invalid too. It's our third major crack in the foundation.
So now, let's put it all together. The missing meeting, the mystery signature, the wrong address, these aren't just separate problems. They actually create a chain reaction, a perfect domino effect, where one failure knocks over the next, and then the next.
It really is a perfect cascade of failure. I mean, think about it. The notice was void the second it was signed and sent from the wrong place. And because there was no valid notice, there was no legal reason to even start the conciliation process. And with no valid process, the final termination had absolutely zero legal ground to stand on. Boom! The whole line just collapses.
This table really sums it up perfectly. Each one of these errors is what's called a jurisdictional defect, and that's just a legal way of saying these aren't small procedural slip-ups you can fix later. No, these are fundamental failures that mean the people in charge never had the legal power or jurisdiction to act in the first place. There's just no fixing that.
So, what are the actual real-world consequences when a court says an entire process is void ab initio? I mean, what does that really mean for the company and, maybe more importantly, for the employees who got those flawed notices? Well, the impact is huge. It isn't like hitting a rewind button. It's like a declaration that the movie was never even filmed. The terminations are treated as if they literally never happened. That means the employment relationship was never legally broken, which of course opens the door for employees to demand their jobs back or claim damages for this whole unlawful mess.
So what's the ultimate lesson here? You can't just patch up a cracked foundation. You can't appeal your way out of something that was a legal nullity from the get-go. The only solution is what's called a curative step. You have to go all the way back to square one and start the entire process over, this time following every single rule to the letter.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. Whether you're in HR, in management, or really in any system that's governed by rules, this case is such a powerful reminder. Making sure your foundation is solid, that you follow every mandatory step, you verify every signature, and you double-check every address, it isn't just about best practices. It's about making sure the entire structure you're building doesn't come crashing down around you. Because a flawed farewell might just mean it was never a farewell at all.